Hey everyone, welcome to BrickVault. My name's Jack, and today we've got something that's gonna look so good in our Lego city. This is the Creator Ferris wheel. The set is recommended for ages 16 and up. It is set number 10247, and it has 2,464 pieces. It's an incredibly tall build, and it comes with, let's see, how many minifigs? 10 minifigs, I'm pretty sure. This is gonna be an incredibly tall build, and it's gonna serve as a wonderful centerpiece for the park in our Lego city. I cannot wait to get this thing built. All right, so let's check out how many bags we got inside the box. Okay, so the box is open. We've got about 20 bags, maybe 21, including this one that is not numbered. They label up to the number 4, and the manual is just one big one, not a set of a bunch of smaller ones. So let's get started with this big old build. Build is totally done, and I gotta say it was a pretty monotonous thing to put together. It was very easy in that sense because there were so many repetitive things to do, but after about an hour and a half your mind kind of turns to mush. I was impressed with how big this thing is. I knew it was going to be large, and that's a pretty common thing when you put a set together. It always seems a little bit bigger than you imagined in your head, but for some reason this one really did take the cake. It rests on a series of bright green plates, which is 48 studs by 48. That is absolutely massive, and it measures in at just under 2 feet, 23 inches or 60 centimeters. That makes it one of the tallest builds in our Lego city, and it makes her a pretty awesome, excellent centerpiece in the middle of it. Anyways, I'll get to it in the city later, but the colors of this Ferris wheel just look amazing. The dark azure blue make up the stand that holds up the wheel, and the wheel you can see is consistently white on the outside, but is actually made up of a lot of black and darker pieces on the inside. The highlights include trans yellow, trans orange that make up sort of the sun or star in the center, and then the wheels are made up of bright green, purple, and yellow. I, for one, am a big fan of all of the color that this set brings, because not only is the Ferris wheel very, very vibrant, but we've got a lot of flowers that sort of surround the perimeter, and 2 excellent builds for some trees, flowering trees. There are a few other knickknacks on the ground, but let's check out the actual functions. So here is the spinning wheel function. It works really, really well. I was kind of warned, or I had heard stories about this Ferris wheel sort of catching if you didn't build it properly. The instruction manual actually warns you about that and tells you how to press out some of the bricks away from each other so you don't have anything catching, but this is the spinning wheel function. We've got 2 tires, and they are pushing towards and running along the side of the wheel with a little bit of help with some rubber bands. If you take those pieces off, you can pull the tires back and really spin this thing around with your hand if you like, but the wheel function here works really, really well. And of course, yes, it can be hooked up to a motor quite easily, I think. Right next to it, though, we have another function. This is the one that actually kind of caught me by surprise. It's a very solid single lever action here, and that is what opens and closes the sort of loading and unloading ramps. You have to have one of the seating compartments compartments right in the center, or the ramps are going to kind of jam up on you, and it allows patrons to get on and off. This is just like how I remember carnival rides back when I was a kid, and I'm really surprised to see how well it worked. When the loading ramp is up like this, you cannot spin the wheel at all. It is pretty much locked there, but once the ramps go down, the whole thing frees up, and all the carriages can move around very nicely. Now here's a close-up at one of the carriages. It doesn't really matter which one, they are all built exactly the same, and depending on how you want to put your minifigs inside, you can either have them standing or sitting. That sort of determines how many figs are going to be there. If they're sitting down, I think you can only fit one, but I think these carriages look best when they are filled with children, because the walls are a little bit low and it kind of fits right up to their waist level. There are doors here. They're actually kind of well hidden. It really just blends into the rest of the body of this little carriage, and I gotta say, the whole design of this Ferris wheel really looks familiar. I don't know if it's based on a particular kind of Ferris wheel, but both the carriages and the design for the star in the center looks like something that I used to ride when I was a kid. Now I suppose we can see some of the details of the build if we just show kind of a start to finish loop on what a minifigure would experience if they came into the Ferris wheel. First, there is a bench by the base. Maybe that's where they are waiting in line to get on, and once they do get on, they pass through that little counter right there, the spinning bars, which actually spins super well, and then they go up the ramps on the left hand side, and if you go all the way up there, that is where the operator sits, and you can even see the start and stop buttons. The carousel would stop, then the minifig gets on, they go off for a ride, and then when they exit, they'll be getting off on the right hand side, not to mess up the foot traffic on the left with people that are getting on the ride. And then waiting for them right outside of the Ferris wheel, we've got an ice cream vendor in case they want to get a fun snack. And that is everything from the front. This is sort of the display side, and along the edges, I think I pointed out earlier, there are some flowers, but this is what the Ferris wheel looks like from the back. There's a little bit less green plating right in the front. It just kind of comes out to make sure that the support beams have enough of a solid build to keep the Ferris wheel up. And on one side, this is where you would be operating the start and stop functions like I was mentioning before. There's a bit of exposed Technic here that I thought could have been covered up a little bit better, but ultimately we want to be able to put a motor inside, and we probably would have to create an entire little custom build, probably like a snack shop or something, to hide the big battery pack. So I think I've gone through a lot of the main sections of the set that I really wanted to talk about, and let's check out the minifigs. There are 10 in total, and there's some really great prints here that I was not expecting to get. For instance, this is our sunglasses guy who's got a tropical t-shirt. That's a great print for a silhouetted sunset. It's kind of a cheesy shirt, but the fact that we get this printed on a minifig is really great. It also goes onto the back, and that is a print I absolutely love having. Now here is another print, belongs on a little girl, maybe not a t-shirt I would wear, but it looks really good. I mean, the actual detailing itself is great. We've got a sort of a pink dolphin or something riding some waves, and I think the last of the excellent prints is this sweater one. It's so simple. You can see a collared shirt coming out the bottom, and just that little lining at the bottom of the sweater that also goes onto the back of the print. Here we have our ice cream vendor. I think she's actually wearing a uniform, a shirt that goes along with it, and that azure blue looks excellent for the mold for the legs. Here is a lady with a pink sort of halter top or tank top or something. The print shows a flower necklace, and it's tied off in the back. This next guy is a gentleman, an older, maybe businessman. He's wearing a vest, and he also has a pocket watch in gold coming out of his pocket. That's actually a highly detailed print. I like this one a lot. There's just so many good prints here. The next four are actually kind of the generic ones that I sort of saved for the end. We've got our gray top with the purple scarf. She's got sort of short blonde hair, which is kind of nice to have in this color. Then we've got another little girl minifig with the orange tank top that is a super common print. And then here is Average Joe with an orange hoodie. Though he doesn't have the hoodie on, he is wearing a cap. And then the last one is a kid holding a pretzel. Anyways, the fact that we get 10 figs in this set, which is 2,464 pieces, and it's sold for $200 or 160 pounds, that is a great part to price ratio, especially considering some of these figs are pretty darn uncommon. So here it is. I've now put it into the city. It is right smack dab in the center of the park and in the center of the front of the city. I sort of consider this area the kind of most beautified spot of the city, and the Ferris wheel totally deserves to be sort of the spotlight. Now, I've left the entrance actually facing away from this area, and that's because the turning function for the wheel is in the back, and it's just way more accessible useful to be able to reach it from here as opposed to having to crawl through the island and operate it from the other side. So I can move around some pieces and kind of make some of the other carnival pieces jump out in front. And this can very easily also be just as nice looking on the other side. And right now I think this is one of my favorite sets, one of my favorite builds that is in the entire city. It really does feel like sort of the glue that keeps the whole atmosphere together. Anyways, that is it for this set review. I really do appreciate you guys checking out our channel. We are going to be updating this city constantly. Here at BrickVault, we just have a ton of energy, and the more we build, the more we want to build. So I hope you guys keep tuning in and checking out how our Lego city is progressing. And if you enjoy our content, you can always like or subscribe. All right, that is it for this episode. We'll see you next time at BrickVault.